All right, guys, we're live. Periodization, you just got to kind of bear with me a little bit. I'm just trying to sort out my camera because my camera on my computer isn't working. So just give me 2 seconds. Hey, Andrea, how you doing? How's the sound? The sound all right? I just need to change things around a little bit. So, periodization, I've got my whiteboard here. So, we've got different types of periodization. We'll go through this. I'll talk a little bit about it first, and then we shall go into how we can do it for different clients that we have. So, to start with, periodization, obviously we're talking about linear here and undulating. So, there's different types of undulating. So, you've got weekly, you've got daily. That's generally the main 2 types of periodization that most people go onto. So, just let me get this going as well. Oh man, okay, I'm in a nightmare with technology in a minute. So with linear, we all know kind of linear. What we generally do, we're just trying to get like a little bit better every day, and generally we're just trying to increase things as we go, which is pretty standard, pretty straightforward. Now, daily or weekly undulating, daily undulating or weekly undulating periodization. Hey, Shannon, how we doing? It seems like it's really hard, but it's actually really easy. And it seems like you can't use it maybe for, your general pop sort of clients, but it's really easy to use for them and they actually really enjoy it. So for instance, if you've got a client, like I have clients come to me, 2 to 3 times a week. When they come each time, after maybe coming for 2, 3, 4 months, they get a little bit bored coming in and doing, the same program, 8 to 10 reps or 12 to 15 reps or, whatever rep scheme you've got them on. So mixing it up and putting it into some, some weekly or daily undulating actually makes it a little bit more exciting for them and they kind of enjoy it a little bit more because one, you can see massive strength gains really quickly. I'm going to put a link in this to a really good article from Greg Nuckols on his Stronger by Science, and it really breaks things down a lot more. I'm literally just touching the surface, but it's really easy to put in and you see a lot of strength gains. So with trained individuals, you see good strength gains. Now, a lot of the studies are only done over a short period of time, but even if you incorporate it for, say, a month or 2 months, and then go back to some block or some linear, that's fine. It's just another tool in your toolbox, and it keeps people interested. So, like I was saying, it's really easy to use. Now, I probably wouldn't use it with a client that I've not been training for maybe under 6 months. Usually, you can get away with about 6 months worth of programming, maybe a little bit more, and then not getting sort of bored. And usually you'll see consistent gains or strength gains. Now, usually when we talk about periodization, we're usually talking about strength. Obviously, we have different types of clients that come to the gym, fat loss, sort of hypertrophy, so gains. So you can use it for that. Hey, Amy, how we doing? Good to see you on. And yeah, so we can use it for that as well. But we generally talk about, all the studies generally are talking about strength. But it's a really good way, of doing the other things, but strength is kind of what we're talking about. And when you look at studies, and that's generally what you'll see is on, trained, untrained, and then it's usually one type of periodization versus another, and it's then on how much strength they actually gained over that period of time. So I hope this works out. I was meant to be doing it from a computer. I've got my whiteboard here. So I'm just going to see if I can flip the camera around. Good, all right. Can everyone see the whiteboard? I'm going to try and write and type at the same time, write and hold it at the same time, because a few things have messed up. But generally, what we've got is, say we do it this way. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What the hell is that? Sunday. Okay, can we see that? Let me just see. Can you just tell me if the volume is still good? Because it's on the table, so can you still hear me? Just like comment, Amy, Shannon, one of you, if one of you could, or Andrea, if one of you could just pop a comment to say that you can still hear me, that'd be great. So then I don't know, just so I know. Hopefully he's still there. Right, I'll carry on for a second anyway. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. Give me 1 second, I'll get my ear... yeah, you see it? Shannon, can you hear me? And can you hear me yet? Yeah, awesome. All right, so these are different days. Okay, you might only train 3 times a week. Say we're going to do 3 times a week. So generally the way I'll always work it is I'll start them off maybe on like a 12 to 15s on one day. Then the next day you come in, you might do a 6 to 8. Next day you might come in and do a 8 to 10 or a 10 to 12. So it just depends. Now actually usually I would actually do this the other way around. I'd usually do it a 10 to 12. Like so, and then that's at 8 to 10. So you can see there we've got, you know, different rep ranges each time. Now I got taught this by Mike Zordos on a PT courses I was doing, and I think the way they do it usually is they'll start with strength at the start and then work their way down. So you might have like your strength day, your hypertrophy day, your functional strength day, and that's right, or your hypertrophy day, strength day, functional strength day, or what's the final one? Your functional strength day, hypertrophy, and then strength. So you can see there's different ways of organising it. So that's if you train 3 times a week, but you might train more. So if you train more, then it's entirely up to you how you organise it. Now, we're not training like athletes. If you are, you know, you might want to go into it a little bit more. But if you're not training athletes, generally what I'll get people to do is on a Monday, most people on Monday, they generally don't feel too great because they've been usually tired from the weekend. You come in, you're probably not going to get the best out of them if you put a 6 to 8. So I always do like a 12 to 15. Remember, when you're using these types of rep ranges, you're obviously using your percentages of what the max is or perceived max is with that client. So if you're doing a 12 to 15, you know, you're working maybe 70 to 80s, you work a bit more here, and so on here. So you're just finding out rep ranges, making sure that they're getting, obviously, they're staying within that rep range when they're doing it. Now, if I just scribble this off here a little bit, the way we usually do it is you'll have, like I said, say we'll start this one, say we'll do a 6 to 8, then we've got a 12 to 15, so 12 to 15, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, and it goes across like so. They'll fill those days in. So this, and I would use this for a fat loss client, I'd use it just for a normal, and it's obviously someone who can use the 6 to 8. You know, like I said, generally you only use this, I generally only use this with people who have, you know, who've been around with me for maybe 6 to 8 months. And if we're on here, we're talking daily, DUP, it's easier for me to say. This is daily. So, you know, they'll come in to do 6 to 8 one day, they'll do 12 to 15 the next, 8 to 10 the next, 10 to 12 the next day, then you go back to 6 to 8, and then 12 to 15, and so on. So you can see that they basically just go through that again. So say here, they was using 30 kgs and they got 12 reps. 12 reps, 8 reps, or 6 to 8 reps, we'll say. Yeah, so we got within that rep range. Now, generally what I find is by the time I come back down here and do it again, they'll actually be able to go up a little bit. So 32.5. It might not always be the case, but like literally 8 times out of 10 with my clients, they'll usually go up to there. And you'll know when you're training clients, you know, they'll push hard. Some of them maybe don't push as hard as others, but you can generally always increase them. So what we usually find is, say we did, I don't know, what's that there, 20 kgs, here they'll be doing 22.5. And it really works out that way, and it really does go up pretty quick, and it's pretty standard to what the studies say. They actually show you when you read them. So that would be for like someone who wants to get a little bit stronger, someone who wants to get some strength gains, and maybe gain a little bit of size. You're hitting all the different types of rep ranges in there. If it's 3 times a week, you just do these 3. You might not have that one there, or you might not have the top end. So again, it all depends on what the goal is. Now, we do have some people who come in. Sorry, let me come across here. Now, so we'll just get rid of this. On some people's programs, it might just be, might have 1 exercise or 2 or 3 exercises that's using like DUP. So we might have A1, and that's the deadlift. The deadlift might be, you might use, do 5 to 7 one day, we do a 5 to 7, might do a 4 to 6, and then a 3 to 5. And that might be the rep ranges. They might just have those 3 and they cycle through them. And that's just for the deadlift. Then the rest of the program, they might be doing 6 to 8 for the rest of the program for B1, B2, and whatever. So C1, C2 might be 10 to 12, might be the assistance work, it might just be 12 to 15. It all depends on how you're laying the program out and what the client's after and what obviously the goals and needs are. But it doesn't always have to be the whole program. So it might just be the first exercise that they're doing is DUP, and it's might be the strength exercise. Alternatively, you might do a higher rep one. So for instance, this wouldn't be for deadlifts, but say a different exercise. Let's see. This off a little bit. We've got a different exercise. Say we're doing chest press. In fact, just say put bench. Here we're doing bench. Yeah. We might do someone who's after some more muscular endurance. We might do 12 to 15, 10 to 12, 15 to 20. 12, I don't know. And we might have one more, which is like 8 to 10. So that's again, if you're coming in 4 times a week, we might get rid of that 8 to 10. And that could be someone who's after a little bit more, some muscular endurance. So we've got some more high rep stuff in there. So again, you can play around with it quite a lot. Again, we might have someone else then who, if say for instance, we're not doing daily, we might be doing weekly. So the first block, so like we'll do week 1, the first block might be 6 to 8. Week 2 we might just go 8 to 10 and work up that way. So it's actually a linear way. We're actually going in a linear, some linear periodization, but we're still doing, it's kind of weekly, the weekly changes. So is that, let me make sure, does that everyone make sense? I can't see my phone, so does that kind of make sense to you? So who's still on? I think it's Shannon maybe, or Andrew, I'm not sure, I can't see who's still on. But does that make sense to you? That makes sense that you don't always have to be, just because it's weekly or daily doesn't necessarily mean that it always has to be the case. It can be, it can basically be, oh cheers Shannon, good. So anytime you're up, come over to the gym, it'd be good to have a train, catch up with you, it'd be awesome. So you can see that it doesn't necessarily have to be weekly. It can be weekly and undulating at the same time, and linear. So the next one might be 10 to 12, and then you might do 12 to 15. Now obviously you've got to have a reason to do this. Doing it just generally, just to mix it up, it can make sense, but you want to, obviously you'll have a reason for this. Now, personally, I prefer daily. In my own training, I generally use daily as well. With clients who have got to a certain period in their training, I will change it up. Now, one thing, this is for someone's program. I can't quite remember it exactly, but they've got the A1 is like, you know, I think Abby is doing, 5 to 1, 5 to 7. So 5 to 7, 4 to 6, and then what was it, 3 to 5. So we're working up. So we're actually, you know, you can see the intensity is going up as we go across each week, each session. And then whoever exercises are, I think it's like a 6 to 8, 10 to 12, and then 8 to 10. So we're still keeping semi within that strength range there. And that's the same for these. So B1 and B2, and then we're going into the next lot, which is, you know, going into some of the hypertrophy and your general kind of, you know, assistance work. So that may go for 4 weeks. Usually we do 8 to 9 exposures. So we generally, if it's like this, we'll go for it 3 times. If it's 4, we'll go for it twice, and then we change the program up. If we are, so another way of doing it in a block periodization using daily undulating is you may have the first block, so block A might be strength, and that might be where you're doing the daily undulating, but that's where you're using the 5 to 7, 4 to 6, 3 to 5, and you're using the lower rep ranges for the rest of that program. That might last 4 weeks. You have a little deload week, and then the next block, so block B, you might go into, you know, sort of your functional strength. Excuse the handwriting. And we might just stick between, we might still have a 5 to 7 in there. We might have a 8 to 10, and then 6 to 8. And that might be in there, so still a little bit higher. And then the next portion might be still keeping it undulating. I'm not sure you can see that, we'll put it there. In fact, scrub it off. Number C, we'll put that there. Then you might go to your 10 to 12, 12 to 15, and 15 to 20. So you're still doing block as you go down, but each day is undulating. So it's just a really good way of increasing strength. It's a really good way of keeping things interested for your members as well. So I've covered quite a bit there, and hopefully it all makes sense. When I first tried this was from Alan Cosgrove years ago. And then I did it with a client, and it worked out so well, and I kind of got away with it. I actually stopped doing it for a little while. So let me turn my camera around. So I did it from Alan Cosgrove, one of his books, and it's a fat loss book. It's actually one of his fat loss programs, and he uses it with his fat loss program. And like I said, I use it with a lot of clients. Generally, I like to get them 6 to 8 months training, because you are going to end up using some of the higher rep ranges, and also, you know, you need to know that they can nail the positions right. They've got the right technique, and that they've got a good baseline, so that you can be giving them the 6 to 8 reps and the 5 to 7s, or and working among those rep ranges, because otherwise, it's a bit pointless if they can't actually lift that heavy yet. They're not ready for it, like sort of nervous system, actual sort of mentally as well. So you can use it for anyone. It's really easy to use. It looks complicated at first, but once you have a couple of like they're my standard outlines. They're my standard outlines that I'll use from one client to another, and I honestly believe that's probably. There's been a few studies. There's one that I'm going to put a link up. There's another one that I found. I can't remember who shared it. It was a while ago, but said that there wasn't that much difference for hypertrophy. I think it was. So there's not a massive difference for hypertrophy, but there's definitely a difference for strength. Whether that's changed, I've been focusing a lot on other things at the minute, my learning, but definitely give it a try. I mean, the whole point in the group is to learn off each other. So put an example up there. Let us all have a look at it, and we always got to remember every time I train someone at the gym, like a new trainer, I always tell them, you know, write a program for me. And when I tell them that I'll write a program and I want them to pull my program to bits, because you can always be better. As long as you've got a why though behind it, then it's, you know, as long as you know why you're doing something, then it makes sense and it's worth doing. But yeah, maybe put something in the group if you know, want us to all have a look at it. Got some great people in the group, some really knowledgeable people. And like I said, I don't know everything. This is just how I do things and how I do it, and from what I've learned from others and what I see in the gym works really well. And like I said, I'll put some links up to some of the, a link up to a really good post on it as well. Do you have any more questions? Shannon, I know you're still there, so I think, so if you've got any more questions at all, anything you need me to go through. Hey Will, how we doing? How's it going, mate? Will's obviously a really knowledgeable guy as well, so when it comes down to this sort of stuff, yeah, I'm sure you'll have something to say about it as well, mate, because I know you've got, highly knowledgeable. But what I was saying is, you know, weekly and daily undulating. Generally, I use daily more with clients. Again, I like to get them all. Awesome, Shannon. I'm glad cleared that. I'm glad it's kind of made things a little bit more clearer for you. So yeah, Will, all we've been saying is that, you know, you can use daily, weekly. Generally, daily, you'll get more strength gains that from that sort of studies that have been out there. Hypertrophy, generally looking at maybe, you know, it's pretty much the same. I generally don't use it with clients unless I've trained them for maybe 6, 8 months, maybe 12 months, depending on what rep ranges we're doing and obviously the goals. I do use it for fat loss clients. I do use it for general pop. It's a good way of them keeping them interested. And I went through some examples that you can always flick back and have a look on. But you know, for instance, a strength phase, we might have someone doing a 5 to 7 one day, we might do 4 to 6 and then 3 to 5, or we might mix them up. It just depends. Some people, like I said, Mike Zordos is who I got a lot of this stuff from. And you know, he says doing certain things first. So maybe having your strength day first rather than your hypertrophy day, have your hypertrophy last, have your functional strength in the middle. So it just depends on, like, you know, how quickly people recover, what days they're training. You know, if you're doing a heavy load, when you want your nervous system to be fresh for when you're going to lift the heaviest. But how sore do you get? You work nights on a Monday, on a Sunday night, and then you train Monday and you're knackered. Is it going to be the best time for you to do maybe your strength day? It's probably not. You probably might want to rearrange it. So I think it does really come down to personal preference as well. So yeah, I think that's everything. Will, have you got any questions or anything? It'd be awesome to do one of these with you, actually, mate. I've only really met you once or twice when you've been at FitX and stuff, but it'd be cool to do maybe like a question and answer or something. But yeah, if you got any questions, or if you do have any more questions on this, just flick them up. But I think that is me, guys. I think that's everything. So hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully you enjoy it. And yeah, we'll try and do another one like this next week as well. Cheers, guys. See ya.